Okay, today we're going to be having a look at how to go and use Microsoft Excel to create graphs. Now, we're going to be doing a bit of work during our explicit instruction time during the week on graphs and what sort of graphs to use and when different graphs can be used and how to make them. But today we're just going to go through the process of taking the data that you've already collected for your little dice roll activity and turn that into an appropriate sort of a graph. Now to do that, we need to open up Microsoft Excel. This of course is my own computer, so the little thingies down here, school computers will be somewhere else, but I'm sure you can find that. Let's just get rid of that. And we want a blank workbook. Now this is the opening page, the main page where you do all the work in Excel. There are stacks of things that you can do in here. It's very comprehensive. It's very popular software, very commonly used in anywhere you're using a lot of numbers. So banking would use it, you'd use it, any administration jobs, they'd use Excel for one thing or another. In some ways it's just a glorified table making software, like you'd make tables in here like you can in Word, but this here you can do a lot more with it. And we're not going to even touch most of the things it can do today, but we are going to have a look at making graphs. Now, each of these little rectangles here are called cells, and you can reference each cell by its letter and its number. So A is all of these ones down here, and number 5 is all here. So you go to F5 would be that one there. Just a useful thing to know. We're going to start at A1. We're going to put in here the title of the first part of data that we have. This is the number on the dice. Now, very interesting. I'll click off. You notice here that it actually goes longer than the cell. That actually takes up 2 cells. We don't want that, so I'm going to move the mouse over here. I can drag this around to make it as big or as small as I can. But if I just double click on that, it goes and sizes itself just perfectly. So down here, what with the number on the dice? Well, there's 1, 2, 3. You'll notice as I'm going down, I'm not using the mouse to go down each box. When I hit enter, it automatically enters the value into that cell, the number it goes into that cell, and then the highlighted bit goes down to the next one. So if I keep going, 4, enter, 5, enter, 6, enter. Easy. Up here, we've got the next bit of data, not the number on the dice, but the number of times that each number came up when we rolled them. So I'm going to call this all the times each number was rolled. Enter. Now when I look at my data, the number 1 came up 10 times. Number 2 came up 12 times. Number 3 came up 9 times. Number 4 came up 11 times. Number 5 came up 8 times, and number 6 came up 10 times. Easy. We've now entered in all of the data that we need to go and make our graph. Let's just go and double click over here so that there fits in nicely. Now that we've got this, we can actually do some really funky things. Now if I click on here, but keep my finger down and drag down, I can highlight all of those cells. I can highlight a whole lot of things like this. I want to highlight all of that there like that. Then I can go over here, format as table, and I can choose a pretty way to go and format that if I want. Let's call it like that. Now, all that's set, they're just double checking that I've got the right thing. Don't worry too much about that. And there we go. Now if I click off, there's a nice, pretty, no, I want something different. I want to go, let's go more like that. Nice little bit of orange. Very nice. Now, I want to make my graph. I'm going to select all of the numerical data, all of the numbers that I've got. I don't need the headings in here. That just confuses it if I try to do that. But if I start it from that cell and drag down to there, I've highlighted all of the numbers we're going to be graphing. Now from here, I want to insert a chart. Now I can come over here, all sorts of options here. Be really careful because a lot of these charts aren't, or graphs aren't, what you want to be using. As I said, we're going to be discussing this later on in the week during our explicit instruction time, but I'm going to show you what we're going to use for now, and I just want you to play around with this a little bit and start seeing the sorts of things you can do. I want you to click on recommended charts. Now this will pop up. This is the sort of chart we want. In this case here, it's called a clustered column. It's probably not the best one to be using here, but it's the easiest one just for now. Yeah, have a look just down here. There's a whole lot of other ones. If you click on these, you can see on the right there how they'll come out with our data. Now you'll think that some of these look pretty cool, pretty fancy. All of these different sorts of charts are used for different sorts of reasons, and the closest one that we want is this one here, the clustered column. Again, it's probably not quite the exact one that we want, and there are reasons for that, but I'm just going to choose this here because it's the easiest one to use for now. So click on that, click OK, and wait, and there we have our chart has just appeared. Now, this is like anything else, it can be dragged around. Okay, you can do all sorts of things with this. I'll show you a little bit more of that later on. Now, if you double click on chart title, we're going to, oh, hang on, just move it. We don't want that. That's all right. We're going to call it, let's call it results of dice rolling activity. Easy. Click off, that's done. As we're going to discover later on in the week, we need more things on a graph. Another two things that we need to have are labels for each of these. We need to have a title that goes and tells us what these numbers mean, and another label to tell us what these numbers mean. So I'll show you how to do that. We're going to go up here to add chart element, and we want the axis title. The left to right here is called an axis. The up and down bit here is called an axis. We'll talk about that later in the week, but now you know what they're called, and they need titles. Primary horizontal, here we go. So we can click on there, axis title, let's call that number on the dice. Easy, add chart element, axis title, let's do the primary vertical. Click on this. This is a bit strange, this one, because it's not quite going the way you'd expect, but that's right, we can work with that. And we'll call this the number of times rolled. Easy. Now, as far as I'm concerned, we've actually finished our chart here. Let's just get rid of that. We've finished the chart. We've finished the graph. If you submitted that, I would be happy. Except I want to move that a little bit over because, hang on. Let's move that over a bit because that looks really lopsided. That's a bit better there. Now, we can do a few things with this to make it a little bit funkier. We can go up here. We can change the colours of it. There we go, change colours, and all the different things will have a different palette. We can change the chart style. We can go up here, change that there, change that there. All sorts of things we can do. Get all these funky ones down here like this, and we can pick and choose those as well. None of these, if you choose any of these, they're fine. I prefer the plain, simple, boring one. In fact, that's not even the plain, simple, boring one we started with. Hang on, where do we go? Design, there we are. But let's stay with that. Now, we can go and do quite a few other things as well. So for example, this is an object like anything else. You can cut and paste it. So we can copy that. We click over here and we go paste. We won't do that. Oh, no, don't do paste special. Just go paste options, your regular paste, and there you go. You've actually pasted it in. But we can also even do this. We can open up Microsoft Word, start a new document, and paste that in. Look at that. So if you were actually writing a report about something and you're writing it in Microsoft Word, you can very, very easily put your numbers into Excel, then make a graph the way you want, and then move it over here. And now we've got that there, we can Make it bigger and smaller as we need. Stretch it out. I don't like people stretching things too much, but you can change the size of it, which would be pretty cool. Okay, I don't want you to save that. Okay, I'm going to get rid of this one here. You can delete that as usual. A few other things we can do. We can suddenly realise, hang on, number 2, I've just realised on the data, number 2 actually came up 11 times. I wrote it down wrong. Whoops. So click on there, change it to 11. Click off, look what happens. It actually changes it on there. So these are still linked like that. What I want you to do is make your graph for this activity. However, I want you to go and have a play around with it. So when you come back onto here, I've already said that this is the sort of graph that I want you to use, but I want you to have a look around. I want you to see what happens when you come over here and change numbers. See what happens over here. See how the different size. So if we can go and do something really stupid, like change from 11 to 111, how does it go? Look how the numbers up here change, but look how these stay the same. Let's change that back. I want you to go and have a look and see what happened if you change the type of graph that you've got. Now, back over here, design. Let's change the chart type. Now again, this is the sort of one that I want you to use, but I want you to have a look around and see what sorts of things you can do. Some of these don't make any sense, but they can make them look pretty cool. That there looks pretty cool, the nice 3D sort of thing. You could change it to an area. Again, this actually makes no sense, and we'll talk about why this is the wrong sort of graph, but you can have a look and see if you can see what it means. Let's have a look at an XY scatter plot. You can use the sun. Have a look at all of these. I don't mind if you spend, a good part of this lesson today looking through and playing around with the different sorts of graphs and the different sorts of things that you can do, because this is a very, very powerful thing, and just having a play around with it, you're not wrecking anything. Worst comes to worst, it only takes a couple of minutes to start again and put all your numbers back in. It doesn't take long to do. I don't mind you playing around with that and having a bit of fun with it, because this is a really, really cool piece of software. I'll just cancel that because I like that there. This is a really cool piece of software, and you can do a lot with it, and just making a simple chart is the very, very simplest thing you can do on it. I've been using Excel for years, and I've only scratched the surface of the number of amazing things it can do to go and make life so much easier for you. Go away and have fun, and as always, remember the SNOT principle. Ask yourself, ask your neighbour, ask another person, and ask your teacher. In that order, if you get confused, if you don't know what's going on. We all want to help. Let's go and learn all this together and have fun.